Hi, I'm Victor Margiotta, and this is the Community Show. I know I say this all the time, but this is what the show is all about. My guest tonight is Barbara King, and she's doing an unbelievable job helping the youths in our community. Barbara, thank you for coming on.
Thank you for having me, Victor. Thank you so much.
This is excellent. I found you in the River Journal News, and once I read the story, I immediately said that you have to come on the show.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
And we're going to tell you right away, there's a way you can help out. She has a website.
Yes.
You can go on, and she's taking volunteers, and she's taking any help that you can give.
Any help, please go to taketripsmes.org. Yes.
So talk about yourself first. Let's get a little history on Barbara.
Oh, wow. Okay. I was born in Harlem Hospital. But I grew up in Alabama.
Oh.
And I came back to New York when I was about 14. I went to Alabama when I was about 6 and came back when I was about 14. And here I am. And I lived in the Bronx, and then I studied to be a teacher, and I became a teacher and moved to Westchester, and I got married and moved to Westchester, and so here I am.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, and so now we're in Ossining. We're the business, the organization, and so, yeah.
So tell us how you decided to start this business.
Wow. Well, it's both personal and professional. So in 2015, my younger brother, who was part of the Mississippi prison system, and I don't know if you or a lot of folks know this, but when you are paroled from the Mississippi prison system, you have to pay a fee. And so when he was paroled, but they don't tell you how to get a job to help you pay that fee. And he had some childhood trauma that was not dealt with. So when he got out, he kind of mulled around, and we helped him pay the fee. But a month before he was to get off of parole, in August of 2015, he took his own life.
I'm sorry.
Thank you. And so at that time, I wanted to do something, but I just did not know what I could do. And so years later, in 2018, I'm an educator for detention youth. And so one of my youth was leaving right before Thanksgiving of 2018 in November. And as we were getting ready to go on holiday break, 2018, December, he was being rearrested. And it really bothered me. And so as I'm sitting on break and I'm talking to my friends and I'm trying to figure out, and I'm saying to myself, I need to do something. I need to be a part of the solution. I feel like I'm part of the problem because I'm not doing anything. And my friend said, you know, Barbara, you got to get out. You have to go somewhere. Look, come on, let's take a trip. And I went, take a trip. We're constantly quick to take trips to go away. And I love South Beach. It's one of my favorite places. But I said, take trips. Why aren't we that quick to take trips mentally, emotionally, and spiritually? And so that's where the name of the organization came from. I want folks, especially these youth, especially youth of color who are sort of being left behind, I want them to be able to take trips mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. So that is what I started. And so in 2019, I started writing things on Instagram. I started an Instagram page. And I just started asking questions, you know, why is this happening? What are we doing about it? And so I said, you know what? I'm going to launch this into something else. And so January of 2020, I officially started Take Trips Mentally, Emotionally, and Spiritually, which is Take Trips MES.
So your background in education is history.
Well, I'm actually a special education teacher.
Okay.
That's my license area, but I teach history, U.S. history, so, and that was a part of it as well, because I was teaching history, and as we were talking about different things that were happening, you know, the civil rights movement, and just different things that we were talking about, and it's so, it's very, it's so funny that, our youth don't know about, certain things that have happened in history. One movie that I love to play for them is Selma, because they're not familiar with the voting rights movement and how that all came about. Some of them don't even know the late Representative John Lewis. And I'm like,
I know.
Are you serious? Like, he was, and I understand, I love that, our kids know, but they know about Malcolm X.
Yeah.
They know about Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. They know, but there are other folks who were out there on the line that they should know about, and they don't. And so I love teaching U.S. history and making sure that they know about these different things.
Well, we can't keep repeating history. We need to move forward. We need to, to correct the things that are going on. And the only way we can do that is to learn history. Now, you mentioned in the story about Nat Turner, which was an excellent.
Absolutely, and I'm, some folks will say, oh, he was a rebel. He went in and killed all these people, but he was fighting for a cause.
Right.
And if you look at what is going on with systemic racism and what we're having in 2020, I
know. Come on.
It's amazing.
You'd think things would be better.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
So I mean, and when I was talking about Nat Turner and introducing him to my student immediately said, Ms. King, I want to write about him. I want to write about him. And I was like, okay.
Yeah.
But it's something different, and so we have to stop, giving them the same names. And yes, they did wonderful things. However, there are more that's on the front line. There are more that were on the front line that we need to acknowledge. So.
Yeah. And you also mentioned about Black Wall Street, which I didn't know about, and I went online, which is a beautiful thing to go on. The computer is amazing.
It really is.
And I read the story and wanted to tell us about that.
So Black Wall Street, you had, they say, oh, people of color, they lived in shacks and they didn't have anything. No, Black Wall Street was a whole town that were rich, Black folks who were healthy and rich and running their own thing there and had everything. And just one night, they came in, burned it down. So these are things that they don't know.
Yeah.
They did, and
then they even tried to hide it in the history books.
Absolutely, and we have to start bringing it out. And I know, we have folks in office who said, "Oh, we want to take that out. We don't want that." But no. Our kids need to know.
Right. They can't rewrite history. They have to tell us the facts.
You have to.
And you hate to say it, but the news, they got to change the name of the news to the opinion. It's just you put one on and it tells you one thing. You put another one on.
Absolutely. And it's just been so long because. History books are going to be history books. They're going to write them. But it's, as you said, the internet. It's such a plethora of information. So we can go on. We can get all this information and we can infuse it into our lessons. And I do that all the time. I really do, because I think that it's important for our students and our population to know that there are folks who look like them who were champions. So, and we have to move away from them also. It shows them that you don't just have to say, oh, well, I want to be a rapper, or I want to be a basketball star, I love LeBron, or I love Jay-Z.
Which is fine.
That's fine. But there are other folks that you can look at and say, wow. And that's why it was so, it was just breathtaking that my students said, I want to write about Nat Turner, and he just got really real hyped about it, and I was so happy.
Well, his thing was he was educated, and he was a smart man, and after that happened, they said, oh, we don't want to educate people anymore because and he said that he had a vision that God said, do something, and it's what he did was maybe not as good as
exactly, but with good, sometimes sometimes good trouble ends up being bad trouble.
Yeah.
You know, as
Right.
John Lewis said, you know, we want to get into some good trouble, but sometimes good trouble can lead to bad trouble, and it's just a matter of how you go about doing it.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, in the story, you heard the word insurrection, which is a revolt, and we also hear emancipation, which is to free from suppression.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I always say that it's so important to fill yourself with as much knowledge as you can, but vocabulary is very important because you're able to put your thoughts together, you're able to put your feelings together, and you could pinpoint how you're thinking and how you're feeling.
Absolutely. And we have to, you know, instill those different vocabulary words and use them and teach, you know, our youth, because this, the detention and incarceration population is a very, for me, it's a special population, just because I just love to see them, you know, soak up things that they don't know. So it's gratifying to see them when they want to learn, and you can give them those words and say, listen, use them. Tell me how you're going to use that. You know, what for you, what does emancipation means? What does the proclamation of emancipation, what does that mean to you? And so it's good for them to say, well, wait a minute, Ms. King, did that include us, you know, people of color? And let's talk about it, because I feel like everything is it can be debatable. Everything is, you know, we can talk about everything. And I have a little saying that I came up with, and I said, you know, when you add, you come up with a sum. You get a solution.
So we're talking about how to break barriers with the kids. I know this is, they're in defense mode.
Absolutely.
You know.
Absolutely.
So let's talk about that.
You know, first it's letting them know, because so many people have let them down. So you need to be honest with them, and I think that that's why I get through to so many of the youth that I work with. It's because I'm honest with them. I'm saying, listen, you're not doing your work, you're gonna fail. That's it. And they're like, whoa, Miss King, you know. But I think, but they appreciate that. They like that. So that's a big barrier. Is you need to be honest with them. You need to tell them the truth, because so many folks have lied to them, and they are in that state where they're expecting. You know, they're expecting a lie. They're expecting you to say, I care, but show that you don't care. So I just give them something different, and I think that's what we all have to do. We all have to look at them different, and when we look at them different, we give them different. But if we keep looking at them from the same lens, then we're going to keep treating them that way. So we have to look at them different.
You know, I was blessed to be raised in a big family, and, you know, my parents had the family business, and, you know, we were all involved in sports. And, you know, it's a great outlet to get out and run and use up that energy, you know. And sometimes, you know, if they're not getting that energy released, then it's, you know, it builds up and they, you know, it comes out in different ways.
Right.
You know?
And if you think about, you know, the urban areas, and a lot of our kids are in gangs, so they have to, you know, look over their shoulders. They have to watch. It's not just free and just running out and playing. So it's a different way of life. But that's why I wanted to start this in this area where I am, because if I get them, I want to bring them in and show them something different, especially inner city youth who they think, when I say, oh, I live in Ossining, and they're like, oh, you live upstate. I'm like, no, it's 20 minutes from the Bronx. Right. So, you know, it's different. And so we want to give them, because everyone should be able to experience that wonderful feeling of just being free and not having to watch over them, especially if you're a child, if you're a youth. That's just.
Well, we are born with two instincts. One is to suckle, of course. You know, you need that to be able to eat and to live. And then the other instinct is to feel safe.
Right.
And you know, that's a big problem if you don't feel safe.
And that's a major problem, and that's what goes on. Again, you know, with my detention youth, they don't feel safe. And because they don't feel safe, their instinct is to go and, you know, carry a gun or something. I just had one of my students, he left, I believe in 2019 he left, and when this pandemic started, everything was kind of crazy. And so as we went back to school in September, I was talking to one of the officers, and I said, oh, when I start the book, I have to make sure that I send Malcolm a copy of the book. And the staff said to me, you didn't hear? And I said, hear what? And something started to ring, and I got really tense because I knew what was coming. And she said, I don't think I should tell you. And I said, no, tell me what? She said, you didn't read the paper? And I said, no, I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
And she said, Malcolm was killed. And it broke my heart because, again, I spend time with the youth that I teach. I spend time with them. I talk to them. I'm not just their teacher. So when something happens, so I posted his picture on, the Instagram page and Facebook, but he's 18 years old. He just had a baby, but he had to carry a gun because someone was after him in Brooklyn. And so when they started shooting, he started shooting, and yeah. And this just happened in August of this year. Yeah.
Sorry to hear that. A big part of the program is the mental health, and we have counselors that are involved.
Right. Yeah, so let me take a step back because our mental health counselors, they're so important. We know that they're important, but also I love to put our mentors out there because, again, our mentors is a big key, because if you have a youth who needs someone to guide them, that mentor is so important, because if they have to go to court, that mentor is going to go to court with them. You know how invigorating that is to turn around and see, wow, look, he or she is here for me. Like, whatever happens, I know they'll be here. And so that's really big. But also for our mental health counselors, they're so important as well, because this trauma that they've experienced in and out of detention or the incarceration system needs to be addressed. And a lot of it is not being addressed. They say you're going into a detention or incarceration to be rehabilitated. But we know that's not happening because we see the recidivism rate. And we see that, and especially youth of color, we see what's happening. We see that these kids, it's a revolving door. And so we have to figure out what's going on. Yeah.
And, the bigger problem is that the population is bigger too now.
Absolutely.
And it's not going away.
No, it's really not going. It's only going to get bigger.
Yeah.
And especially since folks have been home during pandemic.
Yeah, right. So what are they doing?
Yeah, but no, it really is. And we have to do something about it. And that's a big mission of Take Trips MES. We want folks to know that we are putting our foot to the fire, and we want to see things done, and we want to help youth 14 to 24. We want to be able, when they transition out of the incarceration system or the detention system, we want to grab them. We want to say, come, here's what we're going to do. And we offer these services free. So we need help. We need the community help.
This is a great cause. This is, they talk about grassroots, but this is the bottom line. This is the only, all the problems of the world stem from this, from,
Absolutely.
this, helping these people.
Helping, and the youth is, that's going to be, those are the ones who's going to take care of us. So I want to groom them and make sure that, when I'm somewhere, they'll help me across the street and not say, oh, and just push me out of the way. So we have to do better. We have to do better in how we see them, how we nurture them, how we mentor them. We have to do better. We have to do better.
So you were talking about the remote learning. And today, that's what you were doing all day today.
Yes, I was learning remote. I'm not happy.
It's not easy.
It's not easy. And if remote learning is difficult for me, the adult, you know it has to be extremely difficult for the youth.
Yes.
So we have to get our youth back into school, back to in person and looking at their teachers and connecting with their teachers, because I know I love it when my students are connecting with me and I'm
Yes,
connecting
there's
with
no
them
doubt.
and I'm one-on-one with them face to face, and I know they love it too. So we have to, even though, we got to make sure it's safe, because the pandemic is still here, but thank goodness we have a vaccine, and hopefully, everything will go good with that and everyone will get it and we can start to move in a better, positive manner.
Okay, so if somebody wants to be a mentor, how would they get in touch with you?
They just go on the website, the website again, taketripsmes.org, and there's a contact button there, and you just type in there and just hit send, and it will go to my executive assistant. Hey, Tanisha.
Hello.
And Nick will send it out, and and we're always looking for volunteers. We need the help, and we need everyone, all hands on deck. We need everybody on the ground running with us, working, because our big thing now is we're looking for space. We want we're looking in the Peekskill area, Ossining area. We would love to talk to, the representatives in those areas and say, do you have a storefront? Do you have a space? So we can start to get in there and really start to really work with the youth and let the youth have somewhere to come. Because right now everything is virtual. And again, virtual is good, but that in person and that one-on-one is so, and it's done, in a safe manner. It just makes a big difference. And so that's what we're looking for. We're definitely trying to get space and just have people send out whatever, we want these kids to start getting jobs. So
Yes.
if you have, button-down shirts or anything, please go to the website and you'll see where to send that. If you want to send it to Take Trips MES, we're taking it. We will take it.
Definitely.
Yes.
Now you talk about trying to get a safe house going. That sounds like...
Yeah, I want to do it. It's a lot of work because, it involves zoning. So, but it would be great because, again, if you think of, inner city kids who don't necessarily get to see the outdoors and the trees and the woods and the deers, like that's just to wake up in the morning and look out the window and just see deers just walking. They don't get to see that, and I think that a safe house in the area would be a wonderful thing. But it's something that we're still talking about, and we're still putting our heads together with the board members and I, because we would love to do it. But again, it involves zoning.
Yeah.
It's a lot of work. So,
It is a lot of work.
yeah.
I know Peekskill, they had to move their homeless shelter, and that was, that was a big deal.
Yeah.
Because, we don't want the homeless shelter
Right.
here,
Right.
and I mean, how do you help these people if you don't set it up?
Right, and if you don't want it in your neighborhood, and then they hear the other neighborhood hears about it, then they're gonna boycott and say they don't want it. And then it's like, when do they get the help that's so desperately needed? When? So we can't just keep moving them around and saying, not here, not here.
No.
If not there, then where? If not now, then when?
Yeah,
So,
it's got to be now.
yeah.
We have to do it.
We have to. We have to.
Well, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you, Vic. Thank you so much for having me. And please, everyone, remember, we need you.
Yes.
Take trips mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. We need the community. We need you to go to our website and look and help with whatever you can help with. We need it, and we will appreciate it. And we're sending out, letters and everything to just say, You know, and if anyone knows of a space, of a storefront that is available, please let us know.
Yeah.
Take tripsmes.org, let us know.
So my brother Joe he does real estate.
Okay.
So a lot of times, you know, when he's selling the house, you got a house full of stuff. Even when my parents had passed, we had a house full of furniture that nobody needed, you know? And if we were in the middle of a busy area, you put it out and people just come and take it, you know what I mean? And that's what you want.
Right,
you know?
absolutely.
But
absolutely.
I think he's got some furniture.
I think I'm going to need that.
All right. And,
Thank you, Joe.
Yeah, so I'll tell him. Because his wife's been yelling at him to get rid of this furniture. Sorry, Joe, I didn't mean to.
But it's going to a good cause.
That's right. And,
Yes.
You know, but sometimes it's just a little thing like that.
Absolutely,
You know?
absolutely, because we can use it if we get like I said, a storefront or a space. We put that furniture in there, and we want the youth to come somewhere and feel safe.
That's the key.
You know, that's
a
'cause
natural thing.
Absolutely,
you
if
know?
they don't feel safe, or you know, whatever they're saying, it's going to be kept there and it's confidential, we're going to lose them. So we want to give them a place where they're going to be safe and warm, and it's just going to feel like, wow, I can just go there and just be myself and just talk, and that's what we want to do.
Thanks, Barbara.
Thank you so much.
All right. I'm Victor Margiotta. This is the Community Show. Thank you so much for watching, and please get involved.